Nice to see you there, Martine. Ladies and gentlemen, hi there. Sorry, you're staring at my finger. I'm scanning through who's here. Hi, Ruth. Hi, Marc. Nice to see you. Hélène, bonjour. Et Hélène, juste pour te dire, hey, Cindy, nice to see you. This is, are you ready? This is my friend John right here.
Hi.
John Ellen wrote the Rough Guidebook to Montreal. But John has lived here for
Almost 13 years.
13 years here and 10 more. We were call it roommates is easier. 32 years ago.
Mano.
Mais oui, j'avance in London. John was my babysitter. And so either
I held his bail money.
Yes, my mail money. Anytime I get a few days in England, I stayed on, specifically come down here to see John. So I only made it down here this morning, but it's gorgeous. It's fun to share this. Last time I was here, it's sunshine. Last time I was here, hey Jeff, I came down with a couple of friends. Hi everyone joining, hi there. Bonjour, Rose. But last time I was here, I sort of got roped into not being in the center of Brighton. And so, I'm not pretending to be an expert here, but I've been down here lots of times. But my friend John, who is actually a published writer, and I mean, he's a writer for a living, is down here. So rather than coming up to London, we said I'd come down to the sunshine and we'd hang out. So, okay, Robert, nice to see you. So a real quick introduction. My name's Patrick Toomey. If by chance you haven't met me before, I live, of course, in Banff National Park. You may have joined me for the last 2 weeks in Ireland, and I was in Dublin's Fair City yesterday, and I'm now down in Brighton on the south coast. Hi, everyone who's joining. Lovely to have you here. This is obviously a live YouTube. I know that we've having some blurry issues with YouTube. I honestly keep trying everything. I'm asking for advice everywhere. I really think part of it is that my phone has a Canadian SIM. It's roaming. It's what it picks up where it goes. Because I did a little test, and I feel very sadly because I did a morning tour in Dublin yesterday out by the Famine Memorial. And, well, that's great, Ruth. But I then did a test stream. Hi, Patty. I did a test stream with Mark in Amsterdam and Harriet in Uganda. And I didn't want to keep that one, but the other one erased. So, unfortunately, we've lost the morning one in Dublin. But we're here in Brighton, or Bright Town. And so I roped my buddy in, but don't worry, I'm buying dinner. So I'm staying with John, and John, God, you've been over at my house, Sony, back and forth. John has known Finn since Finn was about 2.5. So we called Finn on Facebook, and he's like, Uncle John. So it's lovely. So we thought we'd take you for a little walk. Now, we're not out to be, the experts on this, although this gentleman is. He'll just be very modest and mild about it. But here we are at the Royal Pavilion. Gregory's asking, what is John's most lasting memory? I'm never answering that in public. We've been friends a long time. Probably some of our Bible studies. Yeah, we went into the pub earlier and we asked for 2 pints of milk and a Bible, and they didn't have it. So here we are out by the Royal Pavilion. So this is 1787 when it started. And this is King...
Well, he's ended up being George IV, but he was the Prince Regent, he's better known as. Or at least during the period where Brighton became popular with royalty and thus the rest of the gentry in Britain. And he was regent whilst King George III was slightly mad.
Slightly off the rocker, they say. Yeah. Some of you have watched that movie. Yes. I've heard that, Lynn. I've been reaching out to lots of people about...
It's really got bombed in World War II because Hitler wanted this as his home.
Well, thank you for that. Hold on, come here, say hi to everyone. This gentleman here, what's your name?
I'm Franco, nice to meet you.
Franco said the interesting fact is this was never bombed in World War II.
Hitler wanted it.
Hitler wanted his own.
As his home, yeah.
Thanks for sharing, thank you. Brighton, by the way, is one of the most liberal cities in the United States.
United Kingdom.
United Kingdom, same thing. But yeah, it is a fun, vibrant community. Do you know Greater Brighton and Hove now is about 500,000 people, just shy, I think, officially. And you've got the one Green Member of Parliament. She's still,
Yeah,
so
she's an amazing constituency MP, let alone anything else. So.
Is it great vegan food? Yeah, we tried some of that. Well, I had the flatbread, but with steak on top of it.
No,
But
it was a lot of trouble clubbing the vegan and.
now, John has a very good sense of humor. Let's just.
Yeah, so the inside of this place, it's when kind of Eastern Orientalism was really popular. So the decor, there's elements from China and India and stuff inside as well as on the outside.
And I guess when they sold it to the city of Brighton in 1850, Queen Victoria actually had it gutted or took a lot of the prized possessions out, which is sort of interesting. It is, you see pictures of it. Carol just asked, is there a mayor of Brighton?
There's a Lord Mayor.
Lord Mayor, right. But it's in terms of the breakdown, there's Brighton Hove together and then the broader area. It took on the train. I mean, I got into Heathrow, went into central London, and then it took about an hour and a half from St. Pancras to get down here. So it's not bad. £20, by the way, to get down.
Fastest trains are an hour from Victoria or London Bridge.
Yeah. So you look at this now. We're not going to necessarily walk this way, but we just felt we needed to show you this building because it is actually that unique and that famous. And you do, the Orientalism's very interesting because they do look like minarets. But there's influences, of course, from several different levels. Yeah, it's fascinating building. Now, I went in there once years and years ago, but I haven't. Have you toured it in the last few years?
Yeah, a couple of years ago. It's very ornate and ostentatious.
Ostentatious and ornate. Meanwhile, while the locals, over the top, which is often the case. Now, of course, we're going to end up at the water because we have to, and the sun has come out. It's a beautiful day. But yeah, they really do. A fascinating building, but it was handed over to Brighton, and Brighton over the years has become a place, well, where in 1841 the trains arrived here, and suddenly it became a place for the wealthy and I guess anyone, the middle class, to come down from London to get to the seaside. And you know what? I haven't even shown you it, but I am actually in shorts today. I intentionally put them on principle, and I was a little cool, but actually it's a lovely temperature now. So yeah.
And so this is sort of the cultural quarter. We've got the Brighton Museum and Art Gallery just there. And behind that, we've got the Brighton Dome Theatre and the Theatre Royal. And then you've just got interesting bits like this gateway here as part of this whole complex.
It's a massive complex, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then from the train stations, a short walk to the water. Now, I love these modern contradictions now in societies with an old class system, because there is King George IV right up there.
More visually.
Sorry? Sure. I just want to show one thing is because up behind King George IV and across the street out there, you have the Lady Boys of Bangkok. So, and do keep in mind, here, I'll give you a zoom in case you can't see the what everyone looks for. Hi, Sachin. Hi, everyone who's joining. Hi, Jay. But the Lady Boys of Bangkok back there. Oops, double decker. But this is also, of course, you do have, quite famously here, one of the largest LGBTQ plus communities. Well, John lives in one of those sort of neighborhoods, and nearby we were walking by, and it's just one of these, this is a town I like because of the inclusivity and for all the reasons one needs to like it. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to point out the anomaly there. The I-360 replaced... the idea was that it would be a vertical pier to replace the West Pier, which burnt down. So that whole little donut shape you can see on top of the stick there, that holds about 200 people, and the entire thing lifts up. There's a bar in there. I'm not sure if there's any loos.
There's a bar, but no toilets. Well, that's enough to piss someone off. But it is, by the way, if you were just here with all of us today as well, you would be enjoying the gardens all around. Of course, many of you the last few weeks. Lynn, my friend John is speaking. So you might have missed the beginning. So this is John.
Hi.
John Watson. I can say his name because he's a published author anyway. So, but he lives down here. Originally Canadian, Although, was it your mum who was English?
My mum's English.
Mum's English, yeah. So he has the passport.
On Dad's side, it goes back to the 1860s, I think.
Is that right? Yeah. So say John and I lived together in London over 30 years ago. So when I was sent here as a refugee, but I just got to show some gorgeous flowers here for a minute. Everything's in bloom.
Also
It's just
another view on the pavilion there.
Yeah, and that is, hi Jay. Look at the lovely view on the pavilion. Sorry if I've missed some people and not said hello. It's just sometimes the chat is a little different on YouTube. Still getting used to it, but it is fun. So, and again, it's so nice to share these places. But I did rope my buddy, and now I'm down here staying with John because anytime I come to the UK, I always factor in a couple of days.
Oh, if you look back that way, you can see why the theatre is called the Brighton Dome.
Oh yeah, there it is, the Brighton Dome Theatre. Yeah. And so anytime I come back here, and you know, Finn's not here obviously on this trip with me, but I timed it out for Finn's wake up at home, and we gave Finn a call on the video to say hi, because he knows Uncle John for years. And John's not actually my brother, but he's Finn's Uncle John. I mean, so much so we were living in France when Finn was 2.5, and John would come over, and we did a whole long Easter together. That's another story for another day, but we're just going to start to head down into the area known as the lanes. And why is it, what's the lanes? Because they're narrow lanes, presumably?
That's right.
Yep.
Not to be confused with the North Lane, which is an old lane, L-A-I-N-E, is an old word for fields. So the North Lane's famous for like kind of funky shops. There's a vegetarian shoe shop, believe it or not.
Oh, vegan shoe shop, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And I sort of feel that I've never actually eaten a shoe, but or been eaten by one, I guess. Now, this is Regent House, but look at this fabulous building here on the corner. That's now that we're right into the sun, everyone. But we're going to wander through. So this is now the vault. But there are lots of fun because this is, of course, a seaside resort area and a fun area and really accessible from London, of course. So the south coast, and we're straight north. I guess we're straight north of Normandy. If you went straight across?
Well, you can get on a local bus to New Haven and get a ferry straight across to Dieppe.
To Dieppe, okay. So I'm going to be back in Europe sorry, it's a little noisy here at the big buses, but I'll be back in Europe in 3 weeks, believe it or not. And I will be in Amsterdam, and then, of course, in Paris. And I will be out in Normandy, so I'm going to stand on my tippy toes and wave across to John here, because we're going to be out on the beaches there. What do you do? Let's do it. We're rebels. Oh, we're not even being rebels now. We got the green man. There we are. I like to think of him as the green person. By the way, a little hint to travel. If you fly into Iceland, in the airport, they have Joe and the Juice. And it's the cheapest place to get a coffee in the whole of Iceland.
So this is interesting. Huntington Lane. It's the first addition to the lanes in, I don't know how many decades, but they just opened a few years ago. And it opened up this house here, which is one of the oldest in Brighton.
And it was inaccessible before?
It was kind of hidden behind houses.
All right, that's fascinating. So it was... these are great streets in here, aren't they?
Yeah.
And
it's just such a great place to wander around, and you will get lost.
Yeah, and that's sort of the point.
Yeah.
I guess, because it's safe, of course, and friendly. We had... look at this circus up here, the Harrington Lane. Oh, it's fantastic. So I'm just going to try and get this mural for everyone. It's just too good not to. So technically where we're staying at John's, we're I'm just framing the image on the wall up there. Unfortunately, I can't go into vertical on YouTube, so I have to sort of stop where I can get the frame. That's really neat to see, though. So you see, they can see what they're getting through, and they're able to take screenshots. Lots of art galleries down through here. It's exactly what one would expect from a town like this.
Yeah, it's also got a lot of jewelry shops and antique shops. That's one of the things people come here in the lanes for. You know, if you want funky clothing, it's North Lane, but lanes, you've also got a bunch of art galleries, loads of cafes and restaurants. Donatello's has been here forever.
Has it?
Yeah, it's a local favorite.
Che bene. Molto bene. Look at the Druid's Head. That's got to be one of the older buildings in town.
It's, I think, one of the oldest pubs, definitely.
One of the oldest pubs in Brighton, I see. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this is sort of South Coast resort town. Although you're close enough to London that people do commute. And you sort of partially
Yeah,
commute.
no, I've commuted in the past.
Yeah. And you're up to Victoria Station an hour, quick. And then, say, I came out of St. Pancras, which was about an hour and a half. It was easy, and it wasn't horrendously expensive. Look at that down there, the Sussex Arms. So we're not seeing a huge amount of celebration here around the coronation on the 6th. But in London, you're certainly feeling it, feeling that presence. And then all, of course, these Victorian bay windows one sees all around through here. But of course, it's also timed out. 1841, the trains arrive here. Suddenly, the South Coast becomes accessible to people.
Got like little lanes and things.
Yeah.
I mean, we've kind of skipped past the really twisty, tiny ones because we want to get down to the seafront.
Yeah, there is a University of Sussex. Indeed, there is, yeah.
Yeah, there's also Brighton University.
Okay, there's a Brighton University as well. And you can tell by the sky that the people who study there become distinctly bright. Or maybe you have to be bright to get in. Whatever.
This is Brighton Town Hall on the amazingly named street called Bartholomew's. That's the name of the street.
It's Bartholomew's Street.
No, it's just Bartholomew's.
Oh, it's just Bartholomew's. Ah, right. How cool is that? So there we are, the county borough of Brighton, and we're on Bartholomew's. We're not Bartholomew's Street. See, that's...
And then contrast that with kind of a very modernist Moshimo, the Japanese restaurant there.
Right.
Just completely different style to everything else that's here.
That's,
It's quite famous for its Japanese food.
And where, because food, I mean, obviously you get the classic fish and chips and the seafood and ads for mushy peas. Although we had lunch today down at kind of a market area right down by the pier. And it was...
If anybody's from Montreal, here's Plateau.
Oh, voilà les plateaux pour les Montréalais, certes. I know. So John has actually, say, written books about Montreal, so he knows so well the Plateau area, which is great fun. And I was in Montreal actually just a couple of weeks ago, just right 3 days before I got to Ireland. So and now I'm over here. By the way, everyone, if you're following along, we will on, what's today? Tuesday. So Thursday, there will be a meetup in London for anyone who wants to meet up there by the Albert Memorial at 11 a.m. I haven't put it up yet, but I will put up a virtual tour that we will all do together for, say, 20 or 30 minutes. And then have a bit of a catch up. And I know a few people are coming down to hang out, so that's fun. And there's the whiskey shop. So yeah, that's going to be a fun thing to do. So I need to post that up almost right away. See, it sounds like vehicles are... Yeah, we'll just get over here to be on the safe side. So have a look at this architecture down through here. So you'd say most of this is dating to kind of the mid-1800s as a rule?
Yeah, it's going to be a mix of stuff. Some of it will have been renewed, like that obviously looks kind of probably 20s. And, you're speaking of like vegetarian stuff, terre like is high-class vegetarian food, like that's expense account.
Is it expensive? So we won't eat there, but
lovely.
So for all our vegetarian and vegan friends, terre à terre, there you are.
Oh,
yeah, that's that. Sorry, John's got to show us.
Is there any Who fans?
Oh, the Who!
This is Quadrophenia Alley. So if you go along in there, that's a famous scene from the film Quadrophenia.
So
was shot down in...
If you know the Who, I don't know who you're talking about, but the Quadrophenia was filmed right down this alley. Look at that, 1979. Check it out. Hi there, Diane. Nice to see. Lynn, we will record it. I know it's early in the morning for time zones, but check out. So here's people love each other. So yeah, Quadrophenia. I like the Who. Look at this one here, this East Street Tap. So we better go out here and check out, of course, the seafront, Brighton Beach. Now it's not a sandy beach, so heads up. What's this?
Hello Kitty and Friends
Oh,
Cafe.
Hello Kitty and Friends Cafe. How nice is that? That's what? I'm sorry, Rosie, that is blurry again. It's We're trying everything we can possibly do about that. It's I know the audio comes through just fine. Trying a few different things. I did do a nice long test the other day with both Mark and Harriet, and I think when I get home and I'm not using a Canadian SIM, we might find that the reception's a bit better. But also, as we get down towards the water here, we drop to sort of 3G from 5G, and I'm sure that has a factor in it. But we will take you out here towards the water in the famous pier, and of course the previous one of the other piers did burn down. I guess we can make it halfway across. Yeah. But if you are getting it clear enough to have a view, look at this gorgeous day out here now. This famous waterfront down here. Patty, I have messaged them, but they were doing a tour from home, remember? So it is different. And we tried that streaming system the other day, and that didn't work either. So it's yeah, I think it's also the size of the screen you're watching things on. So the smaller the screen, the clearer it is. But there's people down in the water. So what John's going to do is he's going to run down into the water and jump in for but there's the famous pier.
And the infamous seagulls. Anyone who comes down here, do not hold a bag of chips because it will get taken.
That's right. The seagulls will come and attack. I do very honestly. Oh, it's a lovely evening for a paddle. Very honestly, I know lots of people are helping, and I really appreciate the advice. But the fact is, with my sim, I'm traveling to so many places, so there has to be a way around it. But we're still working on that. Have a look out in the distance now. There's the pier that burnt down, and you can see where that came down. But way out in the distance, we have a wind farm out there, and then
a giant donut.
Yeah, and a giant donut. So let's walk out to the donut here, just for kicks, and out to the piers. The piers are fun. Yeah. There's lots of people on the beach. It's actually warm enough we could actually lay on the beach.
That would make for a boring video, wouldn't it?
It would. It would make for a boring video. But here, the history of donuts is represented here on Brighton Beach, which is lots of fun out here. But it is, the light is fantastic now. I wasn't sure. It was a pretty gray morning, and I guess the forecast isn't fantastic for the rest of the day. It is rock. So there's a bit of sand, but it's a rocky beach. That's a great question. See, we have no food with us, so the seagulls will leave us alone. So there's the tower that John was telling us about. BT Tower, isn't it?
No, that's the I-360.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I think it's because it's 360 feet high, so you can't see it now, but you saw earlier the observation platform. Now it's kind of at the base. They're loading up more people, and the whole thing just rises up. It's like a donut on a stick, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, amazing views. You can see the White Cliffs, not of Dover, but
the
Seven Sisters and as far as Beachy Head. And if it's really clear, possibly as far as the Isle of Wight the other way.
Well, it's so I actually lived in Southampton for nearly a year, once upon a time out here, and that's about an hour and a half. It's down along the coast. So we're looking west now, and so you carry on to Hove, and then Portsmouth and Southampton, and then all the way, eventually, I guess, all the way down to Dorset and Cornwall if you went that way. If, however, we went the other way, we'd be getting up to Hastings, just up the road, 1066, and of course the Battle of Hastings. Now, the city charter for Brighton is 1313, although people have been living here, as we know, for thousands of years. And of course, these classic old piers, which are memories of a time when one came to the beachfront and never left the country. But it is fun. I mean, Brighton's super, super international. They're lovely buildings. Huntington Lane, super international city. Like you hear so many accents spoken as you walk around. It's fun to live in a place or be part of a place where you have that kind of diversity. And by, you know, dense European standards, not a huge population. Now the Grand Hotel, that's just up. It's Queen's Old Ship.
Old Ship, yeah. So it's the one just before, well, almost opposite where the shelter hall is. So
Right.
at the moment, it's just past the Modernist building, which is the Brighton Centre, where they have conferences and concerts.
Right.
But yeah, the Grand Hotel, where famously Margaret Thatcher almost got bombed.
Yeah, and it was so interesting because I've started this particular road trip up in Belfast, where we're celebrating 25 years of peace, and you think how you know close that was to the bone once upon a time at that point. So, yeah, pretty remarkable place. Well, why don't we just wander up a little bit? We'll head a little bit towards the pier, and then we'll call it a day. I was really, really hoping this one wouldn't be blurry as they were. JV's asking, how affordable is it to live down here, John? Great question.
It's not quite London prices, but it's more expensive than other places on the South Coast.
And much more than north, I guess. Yeah. So it's, I mean, a lifestyle choice as well. I would say as a visitor, I'm not finding it terribly expensive. No.
I think if you come on a busy weekend and stuff, a lot of hotels will have a 2-night policy because people want to just come down on a Saturday, stay over to the Sunday, and then the hotels are empty for a lot of the rest of the week. So, you know, they'll make you stay 2 nights, but not all of them do that.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, obviously when I stay, but it's but the food and everything I don't find. Now I'm saying this as someone who lives in Banff. I just don't find the food. I find the service good and friendly. But yes, the last time I was here with you, it was a long weekend and it was just so crazy busy. You were lucky if you could get a seat somewhere.
Yeah.
That's
always
that's
good to book.
Yeah, always good to book if you're going to stay. Yeah, and then
anywhere on the, if you want to eat anywhere or drink anywhere on the seafront, always book if you're coming on a busy weekend.
That makes sense, isn't it? And then of course these buildings, saying earlier, it's a continuous battle against sea air and salt. It's interesting, this one. I mean, that's got to be some pretty prime real estate here in the UK, and yet it's quite affected. And even of course these old Victorian light standards that are all rusting away. So nature of the beast being out in a climate like this. But you know, generally, look at this lovely sky. And of course we moved past, well, we're in spring now, so nicer time of year. But interesting area and fun and vibrant. So it's nice to just share a bit of Brighton. As I say, the last time I tried to come and do a tour here, I was way down in the Hove end because I was asked to go down there. So it's nice to be down in the whole seafront area. And again, the blurriness is, I know some people have found solutions, but they found solutions, remember, in their own area. And I'm traveling internationally continuously, so there's a lot of bouncing around. But I'll put up a tour when I get home there to the Rockies. And I find that the phone drops often to 3G. I think that's what the blurriness is all about. But so, John, do you want to go jump on the trampolines for us?
I think I'll do the whatever that scary thing is where they throw you into the air. But yeah, no, it's interesting. The lights aren't on normally, but normally everything's flashing. That Brighton Palace Pier sign is neon flashing. It's as gaudy as you can imagine. It's ridiculously old school British pier fun.
That is fun.
If you want to play those coin push machines.
That's what I want to play.
And it's an amusement park at the end.
I'm going to take all the money out of the bank so we can play the coin push machine. I think you can spend about 30 or 40 quid to make £5 if all goes well.
Yeah.
That's a good.
The Brighton Aquarium over there, I think it's the oldest aquarium in Britain, if not Europe, which probably means it's probably one of the oldest in the world.
Yeah, it's good.
I've still not been to.
Yeah. Oh, you've still not been in. Yeah, the oldest aquarium. gather that, the oldest aquarium in Britain, if not Europe, and maybe even the world. So that's pretty interesting.
Yes.
Well, listen, ladies and
We
gentlemen,
need a fact checker.
we do. We need. Don't worry, we've got lots of fact checkers here. Yeah, I love them too, Martine. The coin pushing machines. About 100. Yeah, it's not bad. Thanks. That's so people checking in on us doing live. So here is the Brighton Palace Pier and the clock tower up there. Now there's about 3 or 4 more loops we could do in town, but we have a whole bunch of catching up to do. And I don't know what the best. In fact, why don't we turn around? Yeah.
Or you could just show them the. I don't know if you can see the terminal for the railway here, but
Okay.
it's one of the oldest railways.
One of the oldest railway terminals. That's really fun.
Yeah, it's a tiny little thing. It's not very practical nowadays, but when it used to mean having people going up and down the beach.
Yeah.
Although you'll have to say this for another one, but there used to be a pier, like the chain pier, and there was also a thing called the Daddy Longlegs, which was this structure on wheels which went out into the sea that people stood on to see what was going on.
Without having to swim out there, kayak. Or,
Yeah.
And where is this,
And
John?
more modern, this is a zip line.
Oh, and we've got a zip line here, which is great fun. But look at this day, and then of course all that classic Victorian architecture up above us there, which is neat, and people doing their exercises, of course.
Yeah, and it's continuously regenerating. This is a branch of Soho House, so a members club that's got places all over the world.
Yeah, isn't
So
it?
this is the Brighton outpost.
It is nice to be beside the beach. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do is I want to thank you. We're sorry if it's blurry for you. I keep trying. What I was trying to do was different settings. I tried that streaming thing the other day. I think we'll see when I put one on at home when I get back to Banff in a couple of days. So I fly home early on the 5th. You're very welcome, Rose. So the oldest in Britain and the world. Thanks, Ellis. That would probably be the aquarium. So and here we are at the Zip Bar. So I guess we'll.
Oh, stereotypically, we're going to end up at fishy chips with mushy peas.
we're gonna finish with a bit of culinary culture here. Unfortunately, Finn's in school now because he would love to be here for the fish and chips and the mushy peas. So listen, there is a link in the description if you're willing or happy or able to make a donation. It's much appreciated. Contribute to our eating out fund tonight. We like to think of it as it's not really a Guinness fund here, but it'll be a South Coast IPA fund. And then later tomorrow or early the next day, I'll make it up to London. There you go. Fish and chips with mushy peas for £9. Oh, and a flake 99 is now $3.20.
Oh,
That's an ice cream cone with chocolate in it.
oh, there's the terminal for the Volks Electric Railway.
Oh, there we are.
So yeah, if anybody's interested to look that up.
The Volks Electric Railway. Do you see? Once you get John going, he could give us some tours here. I'll give you a gimbal, buddy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, listen, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for spending time. To peace and love to all of you. And welcome to the south coast of England. Hi, Dan. So I'm sorry if I missed anyone saying hi. And again, we're working away at the blurriness. I appreciate everyone sticking with us. I get lots of interesting advice, and I think it's probably actually a roaming issue. But nice to see you, Robert. Big hugs to you over there in Ottawa. And this is John Watson, Finn's like uncle. What a real friend for life. So take care, everyone. Now, one last thing. Whenever I end one of these YouTube live streams, it ends really abruptly. But I always like to leave you with a secret thing. So ladies, if you were wondering about John's phone number,